bulldozers dragging security barriers away at the American embassy in New Delhi. It's the latest round of retaliation against the U.S. over what Indian officials call the barbaric treatment of Devyani Khobragade. The Deputy Consul General of India was arrested last week in New York on visa fraud charges. Officials say the mother of two lied on her application, stating she pays her housekeeper, an Indian national, $9.75 an hour, in keeping with minimum wage laws in the U.S. In fact, the pay was just over $3 an hour. When the housekeeper reported the abuse, U.S. authorities stepped in. Khobragade's arrest triggered outrage in India. Headlines declaring the diplomat was humiliated by police.
America ko jawab dene ki.
In an email to colleagues, she details a degrading process, being handcuffed, strip searched and cavity searched, then left in a holding cell. The diplomatic dispute now goes tit for tat. Indian leaders refusing to meet with visiting U.S. lawmakers.
We understand that this is a sensitive issue for many.
The White House today cautiously reminding India of its consular obligations. Experts say it's an affront to Indian culture.
The fact that she was strip searched and the graphic details presented in the Indian press have only fed sort of the public furor.
Khobragade's lawyer plans to challenge on grounds of diplomatic immunity. A January court case will determine her fate and further test already strained relations between the two countries.
Hi there, I'm Darin Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
We are very proud to present you a wrap-up of 2013, and if you saw part one, you saw that the Americans are currently extracting feet and all kinds of body parts out of mouths about the NDA or the NSA.
Yeah, you know, and they're acting like the bullies they are.
And we're not really putting up with it. And we're also seeing that independent social media is having its play in what's going on too.
That's right. So the U.S. is winning hearts and minds around the world, as you saw with the treatment of the Indian diplomats.
Yes. So as you can see, India's got a right to have a few problems. However,
there was the P1 or the P5+1 nuclear deal that the U.S. signed, which allowed Iran to recover some of its losses due to the sanctions.
Yeah.
And of course, Congress is busily working a way to try and sabotage that effort.
So check it out. You remember, diplomacy worked at one time, and they used to really work at it. Now,
well, not so much.
You be the judge.
And bipartisan legislation was introduced in the Senate this week that may just shake up ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. The bill, which is called the Nuclear Weapon-Free Iran Act of 2013, now has the support of 26 senators, both Democrats and Republicans. The bill would authorize new economic sanctions on Iran if it does not hold up its part of it. Halt on certain parts of Tehran's nuclear program in return for some relief from its current economic sanctions. And the Obama administration has said that new sanctions would completely undermine those efforts. Well, to discuss this bill and its implications, I was joined earlier by retired Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson. I first asked him why this bill would be introduced at a time when the U.S. and Iran are so close to achieving a comprehensive peace agreement.
I think many of these people want war. They do not see diplomacy as a way to keep Iran absolutely from having a nuclear weapon, and they believe war is a way. And of course, I've got news for them. War is going to make Iran get a nuclear weapon, not keep them from getting one, plus drag the United States into another trillion-dollar enterprise in Southwest Asia.
And that was retired Army Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson.
And I thought the Americans were about peace.
Yeah, no, it seems they want war.
You know, yeah, why? What's up with that, right?
Well, you know, it's good for the economy.
It's good for those bank profits, that's for sure. It's not like bankers financed every war since World War I.
Oh, wait, even going back before that, I believe.
At any rate, pointing out facts again. We need to avoid that. We're trying to be more corporate, aren't we?
We're trying to be. Well, no, not really. Of course, now there's the extension of the security deal with Afghanistan and Hamid Karzai, Unical's man in Afghanistan. And of course, he is pushing back just a little bit against the U.S.
And just, to do a little background, if you don't know who Karzai is, I want you to watch Fahrenheit 9/11 with Michael Moore. But we want you to check this out.
After tribal leaders across Afghanistan approved a new security pact keeping U.S. troops there past the 2014 withdrawal deadline, Afghan President Hamid Karzai is refusing to sign it. Now, in a snub for leaders on both sides, Karzai is making last-minute demands that could put the whole deal in jeopardy. Our national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon with more on what's really becoming to be a very big story. Jennifer, what does President Karzai want? Why is he doing this?
In a word, to remain relevant and not to become a lame duck before the presidential election in April. That's when he is slated to step down. He also wants to extract a few more concessions from the U.S. He wants the U.S. to release Taliban prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. He probably also wants some more money from the U.S. And he wants the U.S. to stop entering Afghan homes at night, even in pursuit of terrorists. Now, the U.S. doesn't think that the agreement needs fixing. Karzai signed off on the agreement with Secretary of State John Kerry a month ago. Quote, Ambassador Rice reiterated that without a prompt signature, the U.S. would have no choice but to initiate planning for a post-2014 future in which there would be no U.S. or NATO troop presence in Afghanistan and no $8 billion in U.S. aid that the Afghan government needs to keep its security force from collapsing. Jenna.
Jennifer, what about the impact on our troops?
But in terms of the troops, the impact is going to be almost immediate. It means that the zero troop option is now back on the table. That would mean that the U.S. could not use Afghan bases to fly drones or target terrorists in Pakistan. It also means that it is more likely that the Afghan security forces will crumble and Afghanistan will return to Taliban rule. So a lot at stake in terms of the failure to reach an agreement. Remember, this is exactly what happened in Iraq at the end of the war there. No status of forces agreement and no U.S. troops were allowed to stay.
So what do you think?
Well, I think Karzai is working really hard to be relevant.
That guy, they pay him top oil industry executive money.
And wasn't his brother a convicted drug dealer or something, or drug smuggler?
It's facts again, man. Facts.
Yeah, well,
okay, come on.
But I mean, he's the diplomatic leader of Afghanistan.
We've got a lot coming up here, okay? We've got a lot of recording. We're in downtown Kelowna right now. But we got time enough for one more clip, yes?
We do. We got to talk about the congressional hearing they were having on the cost of Afghanistan.
Yes, the cost of things. Unlike where Canada cannot track how much it costs to build a ship, they're trying to track how much it costs to sink a country.
And how well prepared the people from the Pentagon were with their facts and figures.
Yeah. Check this out.
Today, the House Foreign Affairs Committee met on Capitol Hill to discuss the future of Afghanistan, as well as U.S. presence in the country beyond 2014. We heard from members of the State Department, USAID, as well as the Defense Department, all talking about the particular steps that need to take place in the country in order to ensure a free and stable Afghanistan after U.S. troops finally do leave the country. Now, perhaps one of the most contentious moments of this entire hearing was when Congressman Dana Rohrabacher had his chance to speak. Watch how the exchange played out between Congressman Rohrabacher and the members that they invited to the hearing to testify.
How much are we spending annually in Afghanistan now? How much does the aid cost to the American taxpayer? Anybody know? How many killed and wounded have we suffered in the last 12 months? Mr. Dumont, would you know that?
Sir, I do not. I'll have to get back with you on that one also.
We don't know what the cost is, and we don't even know how many killed and wounded are. And we're supposed to believe that you fellows have a plan that's going to end up in a positive way in Afghanistan? Holy cow.
Now, to answer Congressman Rohrabacher's question, $6.7 billion is being spent in Afghanistan each month. Some other interesting questions arose during the course of this hearing, like what the U.S. is still doing in Afghanistan, what the mission is, and what success realistically looks like.
What is the end game? I mean, what are we hoping for? That they'll have a stable government, one that's not wrought with fraud, waste, and abuse, and that will run a country that we can be good allies with and trading partners.
Now, with presidential elections looming in the country and the 2014 self-imposed U.S. deadline still hanging overhead, all eyes are finally back on Afghanistan as we look for an exit strategy.
So, just like the Canadian Parliament unable to calculate the amount of any military expense that comes along,
the U.S. is having the same problem, and they were really defined on getting to war with Syria as well.
I know. And if you saw anything in the news, you didn't see a balanced report about that one. It was war hype, but there was Facebook and Twitter taking care of the war hype.
Thank goodness one politician stood up and acted like an adult in the room.
Yes, which one was that?
That would be one that we wouldn't expect. That would be Mr. Vladimir Putin.
A guy who actually looks better than Obama. Check this out.
Despite the smiles and chit-chat from Barack Obama at the G20 summit in St. Petersburg, it was Vladimir Putin who was centre stage, and he knew it. Just look at his barely concealed exasperation as he waited for his audience of world leaders to settle down and listen to him. Russian MP Vyacheslav Nikonov knows Putin well and says Syria shows him in his pomp.
Putin now is one of the most experienced politicians on earth. He has been around for quite a while. He knows international politics very well. And it was his initiative, which he expressed during his short meeting with Obama in St. Petersburg during the G20 meeting.
This is what they're worried about.
Peter Lavelle, an American presenter for Russia's Kremlin-friendly English-language news channel, RT, says Putin has completely outmaneuvered the U.S. president.
Putin's the chess player and Obama's the checkers player. But you have to remember, judo is Putin's game. And in judo you have to be patient and you have to look for weakness and then you strike. And I think he's going to continue down that path. I hope the Obama people can get their act together because this is a crisis of leadership in the United States. It's just not good, smart foreign policy, diplomacy on the part of the Russians.
As the Syria crisis rolls on, Barack Obama must be hoping that he and we have now seen all the geysers of Vladimir Putin. David Bowden, Sky News, Moscow.
Well, there you have it, some of the biggest stories of 2013 that were really undercovered in the corporate media.
You know, I can't believe that the corporate media is saying that we are news anymore when a couple of guys with a video camera standing in the middle of Kelowna can come up with this, and they're talking about somebody dancing in an odd fashion at a music show.
Yeah.
I'm Darin Howard.
I'm Robert Nisman.
This is Radio Free Canada Video Radio. Thanks for being with us, and thank you so much for the number of views that you've given us. We're going to work really hard to keep people waking up and giving you the information that you need for a great day. We're going to be back with more. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you suddenly feeling nervous, enraged, and excitable?
Are your feelings that others are out to get you increasing exponentially?
Feeling confused and disoriented as to why 30 million additional Americans should be insured?
Then it's time you asked your doctor about Republibliss. With its powerful combination of conspiracy, libertarianism, and imagination, you'll feel confident and self-assured in no time.
Go ahead. Get back to living your life and doing the things you really enjoy.
Republibliss blocks any of your vestigial concern for the poor or uninsured and replaces it with a love of insurance company profits.
Republibliss releases a powerful neural attractant, drawing you to like-minded free market thinkers
who know that if we use enough of Republibliss's patented magical pixie dust, insurers and pharmaceutical companies will make everything all right.
And until then, Republiblis frees you from painful facts with a fast-acting numerical truthless formula.
Because you don't need health coverage for your child with a pre-existing condition, reasonable premiums, a lower deficit, and an insurance company that sticks with you when you get sick.
You need Republiblis, your patented conservative formula for an imaginary problem that will magically disappear. Extensive clinical trials have shown that long-term, short-term, or any-term use of Republiblis will kill you or those around you.
Talk to your doctor about Republiblis today.